If that's a bass, that's a giant. Oh, big head. Oh, big head. What's going on, guys, and welcome to mikeybalzz Fishing. As you guys know, this is going to be kind of like a short video, but as you guys know, I've moved to Alabama. Alabama means like a lot of transitions. I'm changing kind of the style that I fish, the lakes that I fish. I'm changing where I live. The weather's kind of changing. There's all kinds of different changes, and with those like changes, I need to transition some of my tackle. You guys will remember we shot a video where I asked for your like perspectives, opinions, and just your insight, because you guys have so much fishing experience. All you guys watching like have probably a combined fishing experience of like 4,782 years. Awesome. This video is about fishing rods and like your fishing rod and tackle kind of arsenal. Like what you're throwing those baits on, what you're using to actually catch the fish, like that first point of contact for the, oh, I guess the bait's the first point of contact. But you know what I mean? It's like one of the biggest tools when it comes to catching bass, your fishing rod. So one of the first videos we did was a punching video. I was good with that because I can punch grass down in Florida. It's totally normal. But one of the first things that I noticed when I moved up here is a lot of the equipment that I have is too heavy for up here. Now, don't get me wrong. That doesn't mean there aren't giant bass. I mean, you guys probably saw like earlier this year on Chickamauga, there was like a 15 or 13 caught. I think a 15. There was a 13.87, I think it was, on Lake Guntersville. Dude, there's freaking studs up here. It takes 25, 26 pounds to win. Smith Lake being a little bit different, you know, the fish are smaller. But the presentations that you're making, oftentimes they're a little bit lighter, they're a little bit more nuanced, and we're not always using, you know, like 1 ounce, 2 ounce, you know, big weights and stuff like that. And we're not always using braid. So sensitivity and actually picking up on bites is a lot more key up here. It's not always going to be, you know, the thud knock, no stretch kind of deal. Basically, I'd say 90% of my rods all have fluorocarbon on them now. So I need to be better adjusted to throw that fluorocarbon and to throw those lighter baits. So what does that mean? That means I need to start redoing my fishing rod arsenal. And I'm actually, let me throw this out here right now. I need to start redoing my bait caster arsenal. I'm looking at some of those Shimano's that are in that $100 price range. If you guys have them, or if you've tried them, if you got any opinions on them, please drop me like a comment down in the comments box. But let's get to today's video. I want to talk about the rods that I picked up to fish up here to sort of evolve and dimensionalize my rod and reel arsenal. So I have stuff that fits more of the style of baits and the type of presentations that I'm looking to throw while I'm up here in Alabama and just fishing around the Southeast, you know, Lanier, Alabama, if I ever go to South Carolina, you know, stuff like that. So more versatility, baby, right? So as you can see, I got a bunch of Halo rods. You guys know I'm buds with JT Kenny. He's a super good dude. And freaking, he's like, hey man, yeah, you've been fishing for so long, you gotta try the Halo stuff. I love it. Like, you notice like a lot of pro fishermen, they'll switch sponsors over the years and over the years. The one thing I know about JT is he's been throwing Halos for like, dude, it's got to be like 10, 12 years now. So I'm like, and I've watched him fish. I know he's solid. I know he freaking believes in them. So I'm like, all right, dude. Like, I like my pal stuff, and it's been solid, you know, and I'm still going to be throwing all that stuff because I got like 400 rods. But, like I said, I need to make a transition, and transitions means change, and change isn't always easy, but like, you kind of open your mind to some new things. So that's what I'm doing. So what I have right here is I got some Halo rods. Basically, I have some Daylite Series rods, and then I have the TI. I know JT uses a lot of the TI. The TI are like the super high-end rods, so like $250. I'm going to put links to stuff down in the description box. They're like $249, I think, at Tackle Warehouse. The Daylights are kind of like your budget but quality rod. Not like super cheap, but still quality components. I think they come in at like $100. But really what's most important is which ones I chose to grab, because I really think these styles, these actions are like some of the most versatile in the line that are offered, and they really fit like the way I approach like some of the fishing up here. Not to say that I know everything, but they're really the rod styles that I like. So let's start breaking them down. So let's start with the Daylite Series. The Daylite Series is super identifiable because it's orange. You can see I already got this one rigged up. I've been trying to shoot a challenge video. I don't know if it's gonna happen. It'll be kind of cool though, but I got this really cheap spinning rod. Long story. Hopefully it was cool. But so I have this one rigged up. This is, what is this? The 7.2 medium action. It's a little bit longer spinning rod. It has a slightly more moderate taper. What does that mean? The rod does a little bit more of a bend throughout the rod. It's not super like parabolic. It doesn't like bend like wow, but it is like a little bit more of a bend. Perfect for like a wacky rig, perfect for a drop shot, perfect for something where you want like a little bit of like play in the tip and you want like the rod to load up a little bit more. At least that's what I like. You want the rod to load up a little bit more because those fish will suck up the bait, rod loads up, and you're almost, oftentimes like you don't even feel them. It's just you get weight there, you set the hook and they're there. That's why I'm using braid on these types of setups. But just a super solid spinning rod for $100, dude. It has a ton of rod guides. That's like a really quick indicator of a little higher quality rod. The other thing that I kind of like about these guys is they really wrap the, you'll notice they really wrap the rod guides. I have the worst freaking experience with rod guides like gradually cracking off, and looks like these are pretty wrapped up well. The other thing that I really like, let me show you this thing without breaking the tip of the rod. See that keeper down there? It's not something you find on a ton of rods. You know, it's becoming more and more common, but there's a little bait keeper down there. Dude, I'm so sick of freaking, like, especially back in the day, like you put the hook on the rod guide, and especially if you're, no offense to anybody that doesn't fish that much, but you'd have guys use your stuff and they'd actually like hook it on the rod guide. Big no-no, guys. Don't do that because it chips the rod guide. You end up furring line, especially on a spinning rod. But you have that little keeper right there. I can just hook my stuff onto there. Super comfortable grip, but like I said, it's a medium action rod, so it's a little bit lighter. I can do a lot of stuff with this. I'm sure I'm going to be using this a ton. Like I said, maybe wacky rigging and stuff like that, Nico rigging on Guntersville, ledge fishing, but also on Smith Lake. You know, I'm basically going to fish probably 75% spinning rods when I'm out on Smith, and this is going to be one of them. Whether it's throwing a jerk bait like a fluke style bait, super stud, whether it's skipping like a shaky head or something like that, it's going to give me a little bit more tip, a little longer rod, but super versatile. You know, decent price point, $100 on a high quality rod. That's pretty solid. But this is the Daylite 2 Series 7.2 medium. The other Daylite that I decided to get is this guy right here. This is the 7.3 medium. You can see, dude, like I still have the tags on. See this? Hey, there you go. $99. It's freaking reasonable. This is the 7.3 medium. So it's a little longer rod than your standard like 7 foot kind of. That's like the standard rod these days is a 7 foot, but it's a little bit longer. It's a little bit lighter. And once again, like these have a little bit more of a bend in them. Not a bunch, but I would call them like a fast action versus like an ultra fast or an extra fast. And what it allows you to do, I'm not really good at picking up bites. I'll be perfectly honest. Like when they go dunk, yeah, obviously that's a bite. But a lot of times these fish will feel like dead weight. And especially on pressured waters, you'll find that dead weight bites are kind of like the normal or the standard. You know, we've always talked about it in the past. Dude, that was a big thing in the early 2000s and the late 90s, like talking about what's a jig bite feel like? And the pros are like, it feels like mush. It's like, okay, pro, you're kind of an idiot. But like, that's kind of mean. I'm being mean again. Whatever. You know what I mean? That it's like it feels like dead weight, and a lot of bites are kind of feeling like that. And the jig bite does feel like that, but not all the time. Like that was like this running trope of whatever. Like it has a lot of like bend right at the tip down to, I don't know, maybe like a third of the way down. Basically what that allows me to do is cheat, because if I don't feel like a fish there, or if I don't feel the tap or the hold, the rod's gonna load up and it's actually gonna indicate to me and not like put so much pressure on the fish that the fish is actually gonna drop it. So this 7.3 medium, so I'm thinking I'm gonna be using finesse jigs, whether it's Smith Lake. I can throw an underspin on this, make really long casts. The other thing I'm really excited about doing with this thing is, let me get it out real quick, hold on for a second. This guy right here, this is a super popular bait up here right now, and I know everybody's throwing it, but it's going to work. This is a little variation on it, and I think nuances are key. It's a jerky J setup without the jerky J. This is a gambler eel, but it's a hog farmer, basically like a wobble head or like a scrounger head, and you throw it on the ledges when they're suspended, fish it super slow, or even when they're on the bottom, it's just fish it super slow. But that 7.3 kind of gives you like enough extra tip to kind of feel when the rod loads up. More often than not with a presentation like that, you really don't feel the bite. It's more of like a load up, unless they're freaking chewing. So what do you say we talk about these guys? So let's start with the spinning stuff, because I'm actually really excited about this rod. It's freaking sweet. Now, like I said, this is a $249 rod. This is a super high quality rod. Now, the Daylites are light. You know, the Daylite 2, so they're pretty light. These things freaking weigh nothing, dude. They are super slender and super light. Like I said, this is the Halo TI series. This is a 7-foot medium. Now, these guys, in comparison to the Daylite 2, they're gonna be. Uh-oh, who's calling me? I apologize for the interruption, guys. I got a phone call. So what we were talking about is this is the TI series, super light, super versatile. It is like $249. It's a higher price point, but what you're getting is like a super high quality rod. So what I'm going to be using this thing for, this is the 7-foot medium. It has a super fast tip. What does that mean? You see the bend? That's like the first 12, 14 inches of the rod. It's super fast. So what it means is it's super sensitive. The blank is super sensitive. So what you're going to get is a super sensitive rod. This is something that I'm going to be using for drop shotting, shaky head fishing, any kind of drag bait fishing where you're going to feel for a bite. And that's my goal. I'm going to probably use it for more things than that, but it really has that higher level sensitivity, and especially when you're talking about Smith Lake and those lakes with smaller fish that tend to bite subtle or bite weird. We've talked about how those Smith Lake spots, you got to keep tension on them to actually keep them chewing on the bait. You probably watched that waterfall video. Go back and watch that. That was one of the most epic days I've ever had out here. But having that super duper sensitivity really is going to enable me to feel fish. Even on Gunnersville, dude, it gets so much pressure. I'm going to be throwing a shaky head out there. I'm going to be throwing that 1/4 ounce deal. I'm going to be throwing a Ned head out there on some of those ledges, even a Nico ray, and feeling that bite or feeling just that little bit of weight on there. The higher quality rods and the higher quality blanks are going to make a difference, but this is really going to fit a need that I have in my arsenal. I need some lighter stuff that can handle bigger fish, but still have enough, sensitivity to get the job done. So we're going to move on to the TIs in the bait casting models, and I got 3 of them right here. I have a medium and 2 medium heavies. And these are going to be some of the most important rods in my arsenal because these are my dragging rods. They're not just your general application cast and catch rods. These are your I'm feeling everything kind of rods. And I needed these because up here I've noticed you do a lot of dragging, whether you're fishing grass and you're feeling for a bite when you pop that ace out of the grass, or if you're dragging a ledge and you're feeling for that shell bar and stuff. So what we have here is, be careful, Mike. These are new rods. You don't want to screw them up. I have a 7. This is the 7.3 medium heavy. One thing I've noticed too about the Halos versus some of the other rods that I have is this medium heavy is a true national medium heavy. It's not a medium heavy that's oh, that's a little bit soft, but it's heavy for Florida. This thing has some awesome freaking tip to it. And the reason I like the 7.3 is it's a little bit longer, which means it tapers a little bit longer. So it's a little bit softer on the tip, but you still have the body of the rod that kind of loads up. So if you do catch that 7-8 pounder out on Gunnersville, you got enough rod back there to actually manage them. Once again, a bunch of rod guides on it, dude. And that just adds to sensitivity and it adds to your ability to control the bait and actually feel what's going on the bottom. It adds to the transmission, I guess you could say. Super freaking light. Once again, it is a $250 rod, so it better be super light, but this thing is super freaking light. But the 7.3 is going to be a jig rod. It's going to be when I heard you drag a lot of worms here, so dragging a 10-inch or a 12-inch worm, doing those things where it's fishing pretty slow, feeling for bites, but when you do feel that bite, you want that tip to be just a little bit of a bend in it, but you want it to load up super fast because you're going to reel down and you're going to hit the fish. The other 2 that we got here, these are pretty cool rods. So this one we're going to kind of blaze through. This is a 7-foot medium heavy. So this is a standard workaholic rod. Yes, it's a lot like that 7.3. It's a little bit shorter though, which makes it a little more of a general use rod. You're still getting the multiple rod guides, the super light rod, but I can do a lot with this rod. I like to drag a big football jig, a 3/4 or a 1 ounce jig on a little bit shorter rod, especially when I'm fishing around cover. I like to use a rod like this too when I'm dragging something through grass as well, when it's thick. The other thing that I can do with this that I think I'm going to be doing a bit of is pitching docks and things along those lines. It's a little shorter, you can work in a little bit tighter space, but I can pitch that jig and still have that sensitive kind of fast bend rod tip. But at the same time, I can work in that small space. It's a little bit softer feel, so I can feel those bites because of the transmission of the blank. But just it really fits a need. don't know what the right way to put it is. Kind of like a slightly heavy presentation, but not really. I noticed with a lot of the medium heavies that I already have, they're just too stiff, dude. They don't have the tip to accommodate like feeling like a 3/8 ounce jig or a 3/8 ounce Texas rig, or feeling like a Carolina rig, dude, and having a little bit of rod bend so it loads up correctly. This kind of a rod and this kind of a setup is really gonna like sit well in my arsenal. The other one, and this is probably gonna be one of my favorite freaking rods right here. This is a 7-foot medium. So once again, it's the extra fast action, but it's a little bit lighter than that medium heavy. Oh no, I'm knocking things over, but it's a little bit like lighter than that medium heavy. This thing is gonna be killer on Smith Lake, or there's one thing that you do out on like Gunnersville and Pickwick where you're actually like reeling like a swim jig or like a wobble head style swim jig, and you're doing it like over the tips of the grass and that. It's perfect for those reeling presentations when you need a bunch of transmission, because it's not like a crankbait where the fish will eat it and the rod will load up. You actually feel the bite, and you're gonna feel them come out of the grass, tap it. You gotta kind of like wait on them, let them eat it, and like set up and slam them. So this thing's gonna be pretty freaking slick for that. It's a little bit softer, but for those situations when they're eating the bait kind of light, this medium action is going to be pretty sweet. So those are the rods that I got to expand my arsenal. I am going to get some more. There's no doubt about it, because there's definitely some more ultralight style presentations that I'm going to like need rods for. And like in the end, dude, I'm a hoarder. I need a bunch of stuff to present in a bunch of different ways. The other thing too is as the grass grows up on like Gunnersville and Pickwick and all these lakes, like I might start using like that 7-foot medium heavy like as a frog rod or something like that, because it has that faster tip where there's a little bit of bend, but it's a great way to walk like a popping frog over the grass. They're dimensional rods, and I'm going to find other uses for them, and I'm going to find that I need other rods to address other needs. So here's where it comes back to you guys. I need some more recommendations. What other rod styles do I need? We're going to be doing a lot of drop shotting, a lot of wacky rig fishing, a lot of jig fishing, a lot of, let's see, what do you call it? Wobblehead. Yes, wobblehead fishing too, but scrounger head fishing. We're going to be doing a lot of different presentations. So if there's something that comes into your mind that you think that I need a special presentation for, a special fishing rod, let me know, because I'm all about being prepared. I'm willing to spend the money, because like I do want to be prepared. I want to be as most apt and efficient to fish up here as I possibly can, and I want the right equipment, because that's what makes things work in the long term. Like it does cost a bit, but at the same time, you feel like you have what you need out there. You feel like you have the correct equipment, so you go out there and you do these techniques and you practice these techniques in a better, more viable fashion. So I hope you guys are down with the expansion that I did to my rod and reel arsenal setup. I really like these rods. We do need to get them out there and test them and try them. I haven't tried them yet. Obviously, there's still tags on some of them. But, dude, the way they feel, usually when you get a rod in the mail, you can play with the tip a little bit, and you're like, I like this thing. I played with these guys. I like these things. So it's going to be interesting to see them in action in that. If you guys enjoyed this video, or if you're interested in any of the products that I just showed you, they're all available at Tackle Warehouse. Just go ahead, go down in the description box, and definitely hit that like and subscribe button. If you guys enjoy these real fishing videos, I don't know everything, but I have some insights. I've spent a lot of days on the water where I haven't caught anything, and I've spent a lot of days on the water where I've had huge success. And I think that's what we all do out there. But if you guys enjoy these videos, definitely support them. Hit that like and subscribe button. We will see you back here. I want your insights. Drop them down in the comments box. Let me know what I need to look at. And definitely that whole reel thing. I need some reels to match up with these. I got a couple over here that I'm going to put on them. But let me know, like not a budget reel, but something decent quality that I can put on these rods and really go out there and feel like I can address any situation, any issue, any kind of presentation I need to do. So till then, we're going to get out there. Next video you see should be some fishing. Tight lines, boys. Thank you guys for watching the videos, and thank you guys for supporting mikeybalzz Fishing. We are checking out. Peace.